Hey everybody, it's your girl Sherry. Welcome back to another episode of Alleged Actually Podcast. You guys know what today is, none other than 90 Day Fiance Day. And me and my guest co-host Big Nige are going to get right down to it with 90 Day Fiance The Other Way. Welcome back. Hey Big Nige, how goes it?
Going good. Glad to be back. I know you guys missed me. We got two episodes of great 90 Day Fiance for you guys, so we're definitely going to unpack that here today.
That we are. And so we are going to do like we typically do. We go couple by couple, and we're going to do that same thing on this episode. So we are going to kick it off with Corona and Ingi. So, y'all, I thought it was pretty cool. Corona finally gets to see some other Black people in Iceland. The episode kicks off. Her and Ingi are going to meet some Black influencers that she actually found on Facebook, I believe it was, a social media group. And all of them are transplants, which I thought was cool. So she's going to meet other Black individuals that have come from the States and found their way into Iceland. And so she gets kind of a little awakening, you know. I still want to note that Ingi still is winning some points with me because, you know, he's happy that she's going to get a chance to meet some other Black people in Iceland and get their perspective of living there. But, you know, he maintains that, look, none of that matters to him nor his family. What matters to them is that she's kind and she's a good person. He's just giving gentle soul. He's giving good guy. Still unsure of how their relationship works because we're going to find out that Corona did not do her homework. You know, as studious as she is and as proud as she is of getting into an Ivy League school, she didn't do Ivy League college girl things by checking out the program over in Iceland and all of the things that she needs to do to get in the program, which we get into. But let's talk about first when she meets the group. So she goes in and she meets a gentleman, and I think it was two other women. And you know, they all greet her, and appears to be that Corona is the youngest out of the bunch. So she gets a chance to get the perspective from a more mature group that's been there for a while. And they ask her, or she asked them, you know, they asked her how she got there. And she said, love brought her to Iceland. Well, that seems to be a resounding theme. And I can see why. I mean, I'm not saying that Iceland is bad or anything, but I just don't know who says, "Ooh, I want to move to Iceland." You know, particularly us brothers and sisters, we don't like to be cold like that. So there's that. So the man of the group lets her know that he did come there for the same thing, and that as a result, you know, they talk about how they're treated there. Him particularly being a man, it's a little different for him. He says that he prefers the children in Iceland because we all know, honey, one thing about a child, they are not going to hold back their words, mince anything. It's straight up honesty. You're going to get it how they give it. That's just what it is. And otherwise, you know, he said that when he's gone into like pubs or been in other places, you know, he's kind of gotten the looks or whereas in the ladies said that they really didn't necessarily get it to that extent. But one of the things that they did impress upon Corona was learning the language. And, you know, though she's been studying, she's not there yet. And they had more questions with her, and she lets them know that she has plans to become a midwife there. We all know that. You know, her mom was urging her to get right to it. She wasn't joking about continuing her studies. And so they were letting her know that, listen, you know, learning the language is paramount. Also, one of the things I found interesting was the fact that regardless of the fact of whether or not she was to get in the program, working at a hospital in Iceland, you know, they don't have to let you. That they have sometimes that it's a harder way for them to find jobs because Iceland is a very tight-knit community. We talked about in one of our earlier recaps about how they are so connected that a lot of them are related. So you're going to hire your relative over, you know, particularly someone that comes from the States over into your country. So there are some barriers that Corona obviously did not think about And so she then ends up going to meet with an administrator for the school to find out, in fact, what she needs to do to get into the midwife program there. Um, she was 2 weeks shy of applying for the program. So at the bare minimum, she's going to have to wait a year and change before she can apply. Also, to do the program, she's going to have to learn Icelandic, the language, which she asked the administrator, is there a way that she could study the language while also going through the program? It's iffy, not really been done. The woman doesn't say, no, you can't, but that's pretty much what she was giving. No, it's not been done before. So, and she even noted to her that it could even be up to 2 years before she can get in the program. So Corona has a lot to think about. Being a midwife is extremely important to her. The idea that she cannot do it is certainly making her not as warm fuzzy about making a life in Iceland. And so we leave her with uncertainty about her future. And so we're going to have to just keep watching Corona and see how that unfolds. She just didn't do her homework. So that's pretty much where they were in Monday's episode. And we are going to now go over to our next couple. Big Nige, I'm going to let you talk to everybody about what went on with Lily and Josh.
Yeah, so the title of not this past Monday's episode, but last Monday's episode was No Hard Feelings. And I think it did a good job of depicting that notion onto all the couples that they showed. For Josh and Lily, it opens up with Lily talking about the culture and how she's excited. In China, before the wedding, they usually put on red sheets on the bed, and that's a symbol for like good luck, happiness, prosperity, things of that nature. Um, and we find out that, you know, as long as Josh has been there, they haven't been able to fully, you know, seal the deal. And Josh's main excuse, because he's always full of excuses, is he's tired, he's sick. And I really posed the question to myself, and I'm just thinking there while I'm watching this episode, what are you so tired for? You
Right.
don't work, you
Right.
don't do anything. All you do is complain. And it's like, yes, the whole money thing, I get it. It's hard for someone to continue to throw money in your face when you're not in a position as of this moment to make money. But
Right.
again, you put more effort in complaining and finding a way to convey your frustrations to your partner than alleviating the problem altogether.
Mm-hmm.
My thoughts. Um, but then we get some more from Lily, and Lily feels like Josh, doesn't think she's attractive. Josh doesn't listen. Doesn't feel loved by
Right.
Josh. And finally, as you guys have heard me say on this show before, they finally use a translator to get down to some of their nitty gritty issues.
Yes.
And it basically concluded on that episode with Lily doesn't want Josh to say any empty words. Lily wants Josh to show the action. That's kind of where they left off on No Hard Feelings. Kind of again, Josh was kind of giving these excuses like, I've been tired and sick, but no hard feelings, right? That I'm not showing you the love you deserve. I'm not giving you the attention you want. I'm not going the extra mile to do the things I'm supposed to do to keep you happy and whole. So that's where they kind of left off on that episode. On Monday's episode, tensions are definitely Josh. Now he starts speaking as they're on the car. They're on the way to a surprise he planned for Lily. He speaks about the tensions, the lack of love, all the things that Lily hinted at in the last episode. And we get a surprise. He is surprising her to show his love for her.
Mm-hmm.
He takes Lily to a Chinese, like to learn a Chinese tradition, or mainly he's learning the Chinese tradition, I should say, about how to dance. And of course, that means they have to go get dressed up and everything's nice. It's a wholesome moment. Lily's face brightens up, 10 different shades of yellow, white, whatever. As she's loving the moment, she's filled with excitement. She's understanding that Josh finally took some initiative did some of the things that he said he was going to do. And you can see there how they end that episode. On Monday, they're like together, they're back on the same page as what it feels like. So that's pretty much what I got from the last two episodes, how they started in a really shaky spot, the whole no hard feelings thing, transition to Josh finally taking some initiative, taking it to do the dance, doing the tradition, kind of embracing the culture that he's about to, fully entrench himself in. And you can tell Lily responds very well to it.
Yep. Yeah, she did. She did. So, I mean, he's making an effort, guys. I don't know if it's too little, too late, but we'll just have to keep watching and see. And so I'm going to talk to you guys about what went down with Tata and James. Before I get into that, guys, I'm going to ask you real quick, go ahead and give us the thumbs up. Go ahead and like this video. And if you haven't yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Also, please pop off in those comments. Me and Big Nige read your comments. We want to hear what you have to say, what you're thinking about the couples. I mean, we're getting into the season now, so we're going to wrap it up in a couple weeks. So we want to know, what are you thinking? Where you at? Who you feeling? Who you think's going to make it? And who do you think is on the road to nevermore? But all right, so for Tata and James, they are on their way to go and get James's visa so that, James is able to work. Now, we all know that James's biggest issue, his biggest head hurter, if you will, is how they're going to make money. He's unsettled. He has yet to get a grasp on how they're going to make it in Indonesia, and it is causing him a tremendous amount of stress. I don't even know about you guys, Big Nige. I don't know if you notice, he even looks to me, he's just starting to look sick, and it's odd that Tata in the States was starting to, it was starting to have a visceral effect on her physically as well, not being there, being home. But he just looks like he's just becoming unglued there. He's not settled, and he just can't feel at home there right now. The uncertainty of knowing how they're going to make money. I mean, let's be clear, he's made it known that the banana chip business isn't going to do it for him. And Tata, on the other hand, is still struggling with the fact that she wants children. She wants to have kids. And for her, she is 27 years old, about to be 28. But for her, now, y'all, I need to fact check this. And I said this on a previous recap, and I forgot to check it out. But she seems to think that her thyroid condition can somehow impact her fertility. I've never heard that one. I mean, the thyroid does affect a lot of things. Fertility, I'm not sure of. Because I too have a thyroid issue. I'm way past the childbearing age, so it's not a concern for me. But I'm gonna have to fact check that. But for some reason, Tata is concerned. But at any rate, she's right. As you approach 30 or as you start to get older, with never having a child, issues of whether or not she's going to have problems conceiving certainly is a concern. And she is unable to get a straight answer out of James. They are, she's still worried about, like I said, he's still worried about the money. And he does mention to her that, his desire would be to do like they were doing in the States, to have a jewelry business there in Indonesia. So, once he gets approved for this visa, that would be his desire. But even with that, I'm sensing a lot of hesitation from James, because I just, quite frankly, after the showing of how things went down at her parents' house, I don't feel like he trusts her in Indonesia. I don't feel that he trusts her to be fully committed and have his back there as a couple. And that comes up further into the conversation. They're now going downtown where there's all the street food. Listen, y'all, and I'm going to mention this real quick. Indonesia was hitting with that street food. Good gracious. It looked like a whole fair. I mean, the food looked delicious. The whole vibes were there. I might have to put Indonesia on the map for a little visit. It was giving with that whole food. I know Big Nige, who is a true foodie, must have felt that. See?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. The food looked good. So she gets to indulge in her favorite snack, fried tapioca. I thought it was funny too. She's tearing it up, honey, and she gets one piece that's got a little extra spice, and James wants It almost takes him out. Listen, James, you are not in the vanilla state of Washington State, honey. You got to come with the spice. Listen, that pouch got to grow. You look like that little fried tapioca is going to take you out the game. Just saying. Just saying. Sir, you are married to an Indonesian woman. Come on. Get the palate right. At any rate, so they get into the more serious stuff. James wants to know from Tata, look, if we can't make it here, would you come back with me? And she answers kind of dancing all over the place, vague. And, he says that that's what he was afraid of. He's totally afraid that she would abandon him. And Jojo comes into the picture, hence the title of this episode, or this episode, is There's Something About Jojo. And so at any rate, I know I'm jumping a little bit ahead of myself, guys, but he just talks to her about, look, if we can't make it here, would you go back with me to the States? She kind of says she would, but she's like, I don't want to. And as a matter of fact, not only do I not want to, let's make that the very last option. Put that on the bottom of the list. Going home, going back to Washington State, or Maine is on the last option. Mm-mm. But if it came down to it, yes. But that was a very weak yes. I don't know if y'all caught that tea. And he says it's the same kind of vagueness that he gives when she asks about children. And, Tata lets him know again that she's worried about being able to conceive because she is about to be 28. She is concerned about her thyroid condition. And he wants to know from her, look, if we can't have children, I need to know from you, am I going to be enough for you? It's just me and you going to be enough. And she was like, you're enough, but, a child will complete our family. And he says, I see the family as me and you. Well, Tata doesn't see it that way. And so at this point, they're kind of left at a cease point. Like, nothing has truly been resolved. Tata wants the child. James, and I think my issue with James is, why doesn't he come right out and tell her he doesn't want children? He does, however, say, look, he loves Tata, and, he can't imagine not being with her. So here's the question I'm gonna pose, and Nigel, I'm gonna ask you. It comes down to it, if they're both going to be honest with each other, for Tata, that's a deal breaker. I don't believe she'll stay with him if he does not want to have children. So I'm going to pose a question to you, Big Nige. If it was to come down to it, as a man, if your wife, partner decided that she didn't want to have children, and that was, how would you do that? Or vice versa, if you didn't want them and she did, as in this case, would that be something you'd be willing to sacrifice on? Kids are a big deal.
So you're saying if you put me in James's shoes?
Yes, in James's shoes.
Some big shoes to fill when you talk about broken promises. All I got to do is just lie. That seems like a pretty easy job to me. But now, all jokes aside, I really would have liked to hear the conversation. What did he promise specifically to her, her father, her mother, before they gave him his their blessing? For me, if it's something that I don't want to have kids, but it was something that was communicated that we would have a kid, I'm more structured. I'm not fully agreeing with James, but I would still say you need an infrastructure. You need reliable income. You need a roof under your head. You don't need to be living under your parents' roof. I'm just going to tell you, for me, I could not do that and then bring a child under my parents' roof. That does not give the kind of energy that I would want to have if I was in that situation. And it's tough because he has his reservations about the world. Yes, the world is crazy, but that's not an excuse not to have a kid. Now, if you say, again, I keep harping back on this, if we don't have the money, the infrastructure, the plan,
Right.
It's not just how is this going to look 2 years, 3 years down the road. We're talking 10, 20, 30, because when you become a parent, that's it. You're a
Yeah.
parent for life. Not
Yeah.
until they turn 18, not 21.
Yes.
Life.
Life.
You know that very well.
Very well.
So
Yes.
it's a really big commitment. And if you don't even know how you're going to make money the next day, you really shouldn't be focused on having kids. So for me, I know I would say absolutely not until we get a plan in place and steady income for at least a couple years, get some money saved up, then we could have that serious conversation. But in his shoes right now, there's no way I could have a kid because we can barely support ourselves, let alone a child.
Hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, Big Nige has a good point. The thing that bothers me about it is I don't think he wants to lose Tata, but I think that's highly probable if they can't get there. The other thing that he does talk to her about, what hence the title of "There's Something About JoJo," is they have yet to bring JoJo over. They both are missing him. He is their child for now, and they cannot bring him to Indonesia at the time because of that massive rabies outbreak. But he did get some information also that despite that, once they are able to bring JoJo over, that which I also want to fact check this one too. But what he told her was that if they were to bring JoJo over to Indonesia to live, that's it. He cannot come back. So like he cannot cross international lines from Indonesia back into the United States. And so if it didn't work out and they had to go back to the United States, which is what I think James is praying for, JoJo couldn't return with them. And so that really hits Tata hard. I mean, right now, like I said, that is like their child. So not only is it her dream is crushing right before her eyes, they don't know when they're going to get their pup over there, or even if. So it's a lot. So that's kind of how we leave James and Tata. It's two people on two different sides. I'm not seeing any bending. They both want what they want. I would say, we're going to keep watching, but I would say I'd love to see if James, once he gets his visa, can figure out a way that they can truly get some income flowing in. Maybe different conversations can be had. I don't know, you guys. We're just going to have to keep watching. So that's pretty much where we left off with James and Tata. And now we are going to talk about none other than Shekinah and Sarper. Over to you, Big Nige.
So with Shekinah and Sarper, again, we go back to no hard feelings. Um, so Sarper pretty much opens up and he says he needs to change to keep Shekinah. And again, Shekinah is holding her ground. She's making sure we're not doing this thing unless you show me the growth, show me the steps. Not asking him to go to therapy, demanding that he goes to therapy. And that's going to be a bigger issue later down the road. Um, so to show his newfound love and regather her respect for him, he invites her to this junkyard to destroy all these illustrious bottles that he has been so desperately holding on to. And so he takes them and he just starts chucking them. And it's a nice little gesture. And she even kind of joins in on it towards the end. And it takes her a good couple tries to even crack a bottle, let alone break one. I don't think I've ever seen a more pitiful throw in my life. And I've seen a lot of unathletic people in my day. So, um, and then with that, he also continues and goes a step further and then offers to burn the book. Burns the book right in front of her. It's like, yes, I'm a new man. I'm revitalized. Again, still harping on that no hard feelings. Yes, I put you through all this stuff over the uh, little dresser thing or vanity or whatever. No hard feelings, right? Right? Well, we continue as we go through Shekinah and Sarper. Um, they she demands the therapy session. So that's kind of how the first part ends on that episode. Burns the burns the book, smashes the bottles. She says, "I still have reservations. I need him. I need to see how he behaves in therapy. I need him to do this." And so Part 2 of that episode, they get to a therapy session. She will not move back until she sees the growth. And that leads to a very uncomfortable position for Sarper. As soon as he walks in that therapy office, he is completely uncomfortable. Arms up tight. You can read his body language. He doesn't really want to say much, but again, to show Shekinah that he's serious, he starts peeling back some of the layers. He admits he's a control freak. He admits that his biggest issue is when he sees Shekinah upset, his go-to emotion is anger. And the therapist even rebutted and was like, that's one of the problems right there, is instead of nurturing, being gentle, and trying to comfort her when she's upset, you should not be going towards anger. Violence is never the answer, as they say. And so he can't get out of control and out of character because he can't control how she's feeling. If he makes her upset, he doesn't know what to do because he feels like he should control enough of her that she should never be upset. When she's upset and she's using her voice, using whatever God-given right that she has, he does not like it because that strips his control from her. Again, because he admitted he's a control freak. So that's pretty much how they end their episode. Shekinah does admit that they do fight over some silly things, and those silly things blow up into those bigger things, which lead to the therapy sessions because now he's gone out of control. Now she doesn't want to be around him. It gets bigger, but it starts over a small little vanity. And that's just how this couple is. And we'll see as the next episodes continue. Is the therapy going to be enough? Is it going to fully convince Shekinah that Sarper is a changed man, that he won't let his temper get the best of him, and he'll actually be willing to relinquish some of that control?
We're going to have to wait and see. Actually, I think we're going to get some of our answers in the next episode next week. So we're going to stay tuned. My predictions, it's hard to change. I mean, I don't have Sarper's age right off the top of my head, but he's not 19, 20 years old. He's a grown man. And some of it is what's innate, some of it's cultural. It's a lot of barriers he's going to have to overcome, but they say love conquers all. Me and Big Nige are kind of starting to dispel that a little bit watching these couples, but at least it's something. If you really love someone and you want it to work, ball's in his court. We'll have to see. So, guys, next on our list of couples from the 90-Day Fiancé The Other Way episode, we have Joanne and Sean. And I'm going to take this couple because I am still so frustrated. And particularly for me, I wanted to talk about it because I am a mother. And I say it every time we've done a recap. I cannot fathom not only just being a mom. I mean, Sean's a dad to a little girl that he fully takes care of. It blows my mind that, again, they kept it from them for 2 years. And it blows my mind even more at how they were so shocked at the response when they finally got a chance to let it out and let them know. At any rate, we start off with the No Hard Feeling episode and basically just a little snippet of them. We do see Bella and the boys kind of bonding, playing PS5, which is cute. First of all, I will say this. I am definitely rooting for them because their blended family is adorable. I mean, if I want to ever see a couple win, it definitely to me is Joanne and Sean. I like Sean. We do get a little tea about why he hasn't been to see them in the States, but I love how he is with his daughter. I love how nicely they seem to gel together. So it's possible. However, would have been better had they done it right. So while the kids are all bonding, Sean, Joanne, and her bestie Noelle go to a pub. And this is for them to get a chance to get better acquainted. And Sean is trying to be, the gentleman that he is. He goes and gets the ladies' drinks. But Noelle's got questions. And rightfully so. Because, their energy is giving something different than what they had initially told everybody. Their energy is definitely giving, it's more serious than they're letting on, which we all know that it is. They're still being vague at this point. They're not ready to let the cat out of the bag. But this is when we find out that Sean had an issue with his visa, that he did, in fact, have a time when he was over in the United States, and he stayed well past his visa expiration date, which caused him to be banned from coming to the States for 3 years, which is why he has not been the first one to come. You know how Joanne's mom was upset that, as a man, he should have come to them first. She should have met him that way. He should have come over and meet her family. All of that is certainly understandable from a mom's perspective as to, if this guy was the guy that wanted to marry you, why didn't he come over here? But that's why. So now we understand why he hasn't been to the United States and why Joanne has had to come over to Ireland. So when we kick back off into the episode that aired this Monday, there's something about JoJo. Well, it ends with them going ahead and letting out the information. Everybody's at the table. They let them know. To me, it floors me how naive both of them were. In the scene on Monday's episode, Joanne is with her boys, Jesse and Joey. Y'all, to me, Lord, that scene was rough for me to watch. Her boys, though they were happy for her and they like Sean okay from what they know of him, but Joanne is being so unfair because there's so many unanswered questions. So they ask, what does life look like if, they don't want to move to Ireland? And particularly Joey, he's got his friends there in high school, and I think Jesse might have been a little bit more on board with coming, but at any rate, that's a lot of information to spring on those two young men. It's also, she tells the boys, and I'm jumping around, so I apologize, guys, because I'm very passionate about this scene. I just can't fathom a mother that would do that to, I'd say particularly to her boys, because that's a different kind of relationship, mother-son, and then you brought another man in as their stepdad that they don't know, that you kept it from them. It just seems very, I'm certain they feel betrayed a bit. She talks to them that and lets them know that when they decided to do it, they were just really in their love bubble. They just wanted something for them. They wanted to do it. There were strangers that were there to witness it. And you can just see the looks on particularly Joey's face of just shock. Like, who is this? She's right now saying the way it looks like, look, if you don't, then she would spend a couple weeks in the States and then she'll be back to Ireland. She'll make it work, which to me sounds very not doable. That sounds very unrealistic to be. Unless, honey, I don't know what Joanne does for work. Sean's not pushing out a bunch of cash. At least we don't know what he does. We know he lives with his mom. So there's that. So for her to be able to go back and forth between Ireland and New York constantly to live two lives, it's not sustainable and it's not realistic. And I think the boys know that. And she's saying that, I'll work it out between, your grandparents and your dad. And that's another thing. She hasn't had a conversation with her father. So if the boys were to agree to go to Ireland, and we don't have a whole lot of info on the relationship between her and their dad, but she hasn't said anything to him either. So there's that. So at this point, the boys look really hurt, but she pretty much in her way is trying to, I guess, apologize and assure them that they'll work it out, that they'll figure it out. And that, she admits that she didn't think it through very well, which she didn't. And then you have Sean, who he's starting to feel so bad that they waited so long to tell everybody. And everybody's in the car and they're coming back. And Bella tells Jesse that, that that she realizes now Joe is her stepmom, and they kind of laugh, but it's kind of like I got to give the kids credit. They clearly love their parents, and the good thing is they love or they like the other enough to be okay with it, but it's just the lack of respect that they feel that they got with them holding that secret from them. Joanne's worried that Noelle is going to be furious, rightfully so, because that's crazy. The older son, when they were in the car, I'm flipping back around, but he says, yeah, Sean, you're the stepdad. And yeah, Sean's like, you can call me daddy. They all make a little jokey joke, but it's just still kind of like awkward because they're just left with that info. And so Sean asked Bella, because we've seen the boys talk to Joanne. So now Sean talks to Bella. And y'all know that Bella is my little rock star. She's the star of the scene. I think she's adorable. I love their relationship, by the way. And, he asked if she has more questions. And then she asked him, are the boys going to move there? And, he says that, he doesn't know at this point. And she's just like, I just don't understand how you did that. He was like, yeah, I messed up. I didn't tell you. She's like, I'm going to need you to get a better brain. I agree, Bella. Your daddy and Joanne need better brains. That was not well thought out at all. But, he asked and she says, look, yeah, I would be happy if Joanne moves in. And she says, but she does let him know now if there's any more secrets, just cut him off. It's over. And so, then you see Noelle, the best friend, call the mom. Now she's letting her know the cat's out of the bag. Of course, we know the mom knows, but she's just like, look, I'm not here for my grandsons moving to Ireland. I'm not supporting that. And she's like, she's crazy with her whole life being in New York to think that this is going to work, to just up and move to Ireland. So, Joanne is going to have a much more uphill battle to convince the family to support it. I mean, at this point, she's married to the guy, but I heard Sean say something that did kind of concern me, because now he's starting to feel overwhelmed, he said. And Joanne tells him the boys are hurt and that she's surprised of the heaviness of it all, which to me is stupid because of course it's heavy, because all of the kids feel like you kept something from us. That's a betrayal. That's a big deal to bring someone into their life, a step parent, a marriage, a new place, a new country. Either way you look at it, it's just all the way wrong. And Sean's concerned that, their love bubble, their fantasy love is over. And the reality is starting to kick in for him that, they just didn't consider how everybody was going to feel. And now he's really worried about how that's going to work for them. And so that's kind of how we leave Joanne and Sean. I mean, I don't think any of us are shocked that it didn't go like they thought it was going to go. Matter of fact, I'm shocked that it went as well as it did go, and that's a testament to they have some really good kids. But again, Joanne, she's going to have some rough hills to climb, as far as getting her son situated and trying to make a marriage work and trying to take care of her boys. I don't see how that's going to work out, but we'll just have to keep watching and see. I am not a fan of her for doing it that way, or Sean. I think that was wrong. But we're going to see how it all works out. And we'll just keep watching. And that brings us to our last couple. And you guys know that I'm a Dempsey and Statler fan. But on tonight, I'm going to let Nigel go ahead and do the recap on those two. And that's our last couple of the night to discuss. And then we're going to give our final thoughts on it. Big Nige.
Yeah, so for Dempsey and Statler, it kind of picks up from the boat scene of the previous episode, when, again, referring to No Hard Feelings, talking about the episode before that. So it still appears Statler and Dempsey are still at odds. They are still kind of going back and forth. Statler is, anxious and overwhelmed, and Dempsey is not handling the blowback from it all. She feels that Statler is being snippy and kind of crabby and anxious. And then Dempsey, Statler feels like Dempsey's being overbearing. She feels like she's weighing Statler down. Like both of these women are like very passionate about what they're saying because it's like they're both trying to get their points across, but it's like they're speaking in two different directions. You know, Statler wants her, if you are going to talk to me, referring to Dempsey, if you're going to talk to me, you need to be calm, collected, whatever I need. If I need space, give me space. If I need some nice words, some nice gestures, give me that. But I need something from you. Dempsey is like, why is she upset? What's wrong with her? Like, let me help. What can I do? Why are you upset? You shouldn't feel upset. This is a good thing. I feel happy. Why do you not feel happy? And it's just, again, a lot of miscommunication, a lot of not being on the same page, and they're on completely different. It's not like they're kind of off the same page, like they're completely in two different books, you know.
Hmm.
And that's the unfortunate part about it, is that there's no solution in sight because they're both stuck in their ways.
Hmm.
Dempsey wants this to be a happy trip. She's having the time of her life, or at least trying to. And
Right.
Statler just keeps getting further and further into her depression and anxiety and her panic attacks. And even Statler told the producers, like, she wants Dempsey to calm her down, but Dempsey is trying to go 110 when Statler's trying to go 60, right? And they just cannot get on the same page. And it gets so bad in this episode that it inevitably ends with Statler saying, basically doing this and covering her ears and taking it to like back to when you were like 5, 6 years old. And you don't want to hear nothing no more, so you just put your hand over your ears and you just, nope, I'm done listening.
Yep.
Um, and Dempsey's just she's kind of at her wits' end, what it feels like in that episode, talking to the producer, saying, I can't do this. Like,
Yeah.
if this is how she's going to be when we're supposed to having the best times of our life right now, we're supposed to be traveling, having a good time. If she's going to be like this, there's no way I'm going to be okay with this for the rest of my life. And she's kind of doubled down on it. She's stuck on her stance. Statler's stuck on her stance of, you need to give me my time and my space to process this boat ride, because again, you the one that lied about it. And now we're going through this situation because A, I don't like boats, and B, you told me it was going to be a short ride and it turned out to be over an hour ride. So both of them have their culpability in this. I mean, in terms of a solution, it's going to take probably some time they get off the boat to discuss what happened on the boat, which is
Hmm.
crazy because they're on the boat right now. They're right next to each other. They could unpack it, but because they're not listening to each other, they're going to have to get off the boat to talk about what happened on the boat.
No. Yeah.
So it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
This couple is definitely, they have their highs and lows. And according to what's going on this next episode, looks like some more lows are right around the corner. So we'll have to stay tuned in with this couple. They have a lot of love for each other, but sometimes love just ain't enough.
Yeah.
So we'll have
Yeah.
to see how it goes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm gonna give my final thoughts. Like I said, we're pretty far into the season 6, and I'm going to give my predictions on who I think is going to make it to at least another season. Lots of times they go from The Other Way to Happily Ever After, however that looks. My predictions at this point, I am going to say that we're going to still be stuck with Shekinah and Sarper. I don't think we've seen the last of them. I just think they're going to be in it for at least for a little longer. And I would also give Joanne and Sean, they're going to be in it for a longer haul. Possibly they're going to make it. And I'm going to give it to James and Tata and say that they're also going to be in it for the longer haul. Those are my 3. And sadly, those are the 3 that I see making it to Happily Ever After or to another version of The Other Way as an intact couple. Big Nige, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't have that much faith in James and Tata. I think they're in a more difficult process considering James has kind of uprooted his life to
Yeah,
go be with Tata. And again, he's more afraid of going back to face the music that it didn't work with his family than
yes,
actually addressing it with his wife. So I don't have James and Tata making it. I definitely think I think Joanne and Sean, they have enough foundation. They have at least their kids do know now, and all their problems are out in front of them. They are walking through this fire together. So I like the way that they're communicating about these issues, and maybe going forward they can maybe not sit on something that important for 2 years.
right.
But I got Joanne and Sean, and I don't have Dempsey Statler. Don't have Shekinah and Sarper. I think they're one more meltdown away from just ending it all. I
Okay,
think the only couple I have confidence in is Joanne and Sean because every
okay.
problem they have faced it together. Every lie that they have told, they have lied together.
Together.
So
That's true.
every
They
other
on
couple,
the same team.
has had their things, but they've kind of been moving at different speeds, lying about different things,
Yeah,
not talking about certain things. So Joanne and Sean got my vote because they're together, lies
yeah,
and all.
yeah. Good point, Big Nige. So, guys, I want to know, what are your thoughts? Who do you see out of the couples that we talked about as making it? Put those in the comments. Let us hear from you. So, guys, that's what we have for you tonight for our 90-day Fiance The Other Way. Tune in always on Wednesdays. We'll come back and give you what happens the Monday before. So come on back next week. I'm going to ask you to come back on Monday for my Bravo Mondays. I'm still doing Real Housewives of Orange County. We're getting through the season there too. We're going to be adding Salt Lake City to the lineup soon. So you got to come back on Monday for that. And then, of course, this Saturday, Pop Culture Saturday, me and co-host Bria are going to have some more details regarding the Sean P. Diddy Combs case. So you're not going to want to miss that. So with that, I always like to give Big Nige just a few seconds to plug his channel. So if you haven't subscribed to Goatcast Podcast YouTube channel, I don't know what you're waiting on, but I'm going to let Big Nige give you some reason as to why you should.
Yep. So I'm the co-host of the Goatcast podcast, where me and my other co-host CW, we talk about basketball topics, past, present, and future. If you want to see our most poppin' live stream, definitely check our last live stream out, where we had a crazy showing. The numbers were crazy. The guests were even crazier. It was a good time, no doubt about it. And if you don't want to sit through a long, lengthy live stream, we do have some shorter videos talking about the upcoming NBA season, kind of just giving our preseason rankings on some of the divisions in the Eastern and Western Conference. So if you want a little 6-minute, little 10-minute video to kind of just get yourself, put your toe in the water of basketball and what's coming, check out those videos that me and CW put out there. And we'd appreciate your support and any comments, likes, and subscriptions you can offer.
Sounds great. All right, guys. Well, there you have it. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Legend Actually podcast. And we'll be back, like I said, Saturday, Pop Culture Saturday. Come on back. And then next week, we got Bravo and we got 90 days. So thanks, guys. Y'all have a blessed one. Come back. Bye.
All right, y'all.